What is up? What is up, YouTube? Daniel back for a video for the channel. Sorry, it's been a while. But this video, as you can see from the title, will be touching on essentially my journey with psoriasis. I realized that I have a big, I would say, history with nutrition, being able to change my diet various times and helping myself, manage my psoriasis, even reverse it at times. And this is something I want to be, more focused on to help people because there is so many different benefits just besides, I would say mind conditioned skin, how you feel with energy, your physique, everything is essentially nutrition and diet. And, if you're focusing the 70% that you need to on, 100% on the 70%, which is the nutrition, then, big things will happen for you. So for this video, essentially, like I said, I have psoriasis. I was diagnosed about 8 years ago, 2017. So yeah, like 7 years ago. And essentially, it came from a stressful time that I was going through. So I always had like a history of eczema with my family, and then it came from my mom's side. And I always had it growing up. I didn't really think much of it. I would get it here and there. It wasn't too bad, but you know that is also a digestive thing. But I'll get into that. So yeah, eczema was something I had growing up. I would just do some creams and stuff like that, ointments, and it would go away. But then I had a really stressful point. I touched on the video about this, but when I was with my first like real girlfriend, I was going through a stressful time. I was in school, a bunch of things were happening, so I was really stressed out. And essentially, this provoked my digestive system to basically go nuts, create what's it called? Yeah, basically just you're like irritable gut, and essentially this is what created the psoriasis. So essentially, yeah, psoriasis is it's created from a gap like you have in your gut lining. And essentially, this is what happened with me. And I was eating all types of food before, like lasagna, pizza. I was actually working at a rotisserie before. And yeah, so every time I went for lunch, I was eating like chicken wings, everything like traditional American diet. So I was always eating anything I wanted essentially. But essentially, when this happened and I was going through the stressful period, I I had I started getting a rash. So I had like a big rash on my arm, and I didn't think much of it. I thought it was just like stress, and then it would go away. But then as time went on, it started getting bigger and bigger. Started feeling my whole body, not my whole body, but like my whole arm. I started going to the other arm, then it started going to like my legs, stuff like that. So I started to get really worried, and I went to a dermatologist. And this was like when I realized that I don't believe in doctors. I would say like the word as much. I'd actually started with one doctor who was treating me before when I was going through like a bad depressive episode, and he essentially just gave me medications. I think a sign of a good doctor is someone that's able to like, assess whatever's wrong with you. Try to go a natural remedy first, and if that doesn't work, go with medication. But this doctor, everything I had, it was be like medication, medication. So then I just realized this guy doesn't care. He's just trying to get patients out quick, and then just give the medication and go on with his day. So I went to a different doctor, and that was better. But essentially, that was like my first thing of like, okay, some doctors don't actually care about helping their patients. And then when I went to the dermatologist, I got a biopsy done, and they told me it was psoriasis. I was like, oh shit. And then I said, okay, so what's like the treatment? I was expecting something like, okay, you can like, I don't know, try something natural, like do this or that. But this guy's just like, oh, here's like 5 different medications. Like 2 for like were like ointments. One was for like itching. Another one was like something else. And I was like this is it. He basically just like said like, hey man, you're kind of fucked. Like it was kind of just like not like, oh, there's a chance to reverse this or like, we can just natural remedies. It's kind of just like, hey man, just like take this and best of luck. That's what it felt like. And then for me, I don't know, that was something that was like, this doesn't make sense. Like I'm not the first person to be diagnosed with this. There's no way that everybody that has this is, just given this route of just like, you're kind of screwed. See you later. So for me, if it was just about seeking the truth, see this is on. Okay, sorry, checking the mic. Um, it started for me to like seek the truth behind the diagnosis. So I started doing a lot of research. I said, okay, I'll take the medication. Okay, cool. But I'm like, fuck this guy. Like, he doesn't really care. Um, you know, Obviously, your body becomes immune to medication. It becomes, the starts suppressing different things as well, and you usually becomes more and more immune. So you need stronger doses. And then for this one, it was a steroid cream. So steroid creams, if you get off it, it creates like a withdrawal, and you just get like worse conditions than what you're trying to treat it for. So I mean, I started doing a bunch of research. I said like, yeah, I'm not doing medication the rest of my life. It was super expensive too. At that time, I wasn't. I was just came out. I was in school or just graduating, so the ticket was like $150 or $200 for that medication. That was like one round. I mean, it would probably go like twice a month, or whatever, depending on how bad it got. So I just said, yeah, fuck this. Thanks doc for the diagnosis, but I'm gonna go see what's up, what's around the block kind of thing. Taking different people's word for it. So um, I went on the internet and just typed in psoriasis, and then found soon enough that it was digestive. So like I said, it's essentially, sorry, it's called leaky gut. That's the word I was looking for. So it's called leaky gut. And essentially, I found a book about it called The Autoimmune Solution. That was like the first book that I picked up. Psoriasis is an autoimmune condition. There's a bunch of various ones. Those are all related to your gut health and your digestive system. So if anybody's watching this and has some kind of autoimmune disease, it could be anything. It is all gut related. So I realized like, okay, like, this makes sense. Like, I'm not just screwed and eternally a prisoner to medication. So I began to just go heavy into like researching. I got that book called The Autoimmune Solution, and pick it up for anybody. It is a very extreme book, but it just gave me the basics of like what's happening, why, essentially I got this diagnosis, essentially what was going on in my gut and my digestive system. So I began to just change everything. Like, imagine me, a kid that was able to like eat just, food comes, I was eating everything, like pizza, like I said, everything that I was given. I was known for like eating a lot and just like saying no to enough, like no food essentially. But then when this came, I had to like basically 180 everything. And my food was basically cut down to like basically no gluten or dairy, even nightshade vegetables. She said stay away from, which I still do, and just a whole bunch of things. So like 80% of my food, maybe even more, was cut down. I remember at one point I was just eating lettuce wraps, and like it was a female doctor. She would put like diets in the book. I was eating like squash a lot, like the squash salad, stuff like that. And that at this point, I was still with my first partner at that point, and she was kind of, not blaming her, but she was kind of the one of the causes for it. Just her being um, all over the place. So yeah, it was kind of just me with her, and then she just saw me like, I was losing a lot of weight. I have pictures. I'll put them on my Instagram. You guys can follow there. But losing a lot of weight. I think I lost like 15 pounds for sure, maybe even 20. But I was just super skinny. Like I was just eating like lettuce wraps, very low calories, like just mostly salads, vegetables. And I mean, this is like, I was starting to worry people around me because like, okay, this guy just be like eat salads the rest of his life. Like, what's his plan? So this is the first time I started really going against like everybody, and I just kind of built like I guess a stubborn mindset, and like yeah, just like a mental toughness, as opposed to like saying no to everybody. Everyone kept saying, oh, just do the creams, do this, do that. And I was like, no, like I'm reading this book. And for me, like once I start to like read something and believe it, I just stick really heavily to that. I'm not like, it's not easy for you to like persuade me unless you have the results I want. And then you can kind of tell me differently. But no one had psoriasis that I knew, so I was like, you guys, you have no idea what I feel or what the options are here. So I just, went my own way. So I started doing, yeah, this book heavily. I forget how long it was for. I think it was like 2 months for sure. But essentially, what happened is I started getting healing crisis. So healing crisis is essentially when things get worse before they get better. So essentially, you're starting to eat well, and everything that's backed up, like basically your body has a sewer system. It's called like the lymphatic system, and essentially everything that's backed up there starts to like come out. So it starts to get worse, and then as you're eating healthy, you're like, what's going on here? I'm eating the right things, and things started actually getting worse. So then I started getting like kind of things under my eye, and then mostly my parents were getting worried, and yeah, I just kept pushing through and pushing through, and I was worried at one point as well. But I think belief was a big thing for me in terms of like believing that this is the right way. The other option, it kind of just gave me like a binary option of like, you're either doing this route or you're stuck with medication and just paying the system, putting money in their pockets, and they don't care. They just kind of give you medication. It's kind of like doing a drug deal every few weeks. So I was like, I'm not doing that. So fuck that. So I started doing that, kept doing that, and I was about like 22 at the time, and I essentially started to like get better results. I was still super skinny, so I was like, there's has to be different ways to do this. So I started doing more and more research. I started getting into the paleo diet. So at that point, I was like getting clear. So I started going to paleo diet. That was good. So I started adding rice back to my diet. Things like avocados, a lot of animal products, and yeah, that was just kind of like my standard diet for a long time. I didn't do any cleansing at that time, which is something I regret. It would have made things so much easier. Obviously, when you have things related to your digestive system, you should be cleansing a lot. Not a lot, but like pretty regularly in the beginning, more so. Things like enemas, um, sugar, salt flushes, sorry, not sugar flushes, salt flushes, other types of, cleanses like parasite cleanse, candida cleanse, all those ones. So essentially, yeah, if you don't have any kind of cleansing, it's like everything's just backed up in your body. Your colon as well. You should do like some kind of, well, that enema will help with the colon, but there's colon cleanses as well. But all these help with like just taking all the shits in your body and helping you to like basically start fresh. So this is something that I didn't do. I started doing probably a few years ago. I started following someone else who actually helped me a lot. His name was Rob Stewart. So anyone that has like any kind of skin condition or psoriasis, definitely someone that you should um, go check out. And he was essentially able to like reverse his psoriasis. He had like everything, rosacea, psoriasis, eczema, like the whole thing. And he reversed it, and he's been clean for like 10 years, like no flare-ups or nothing. But I mean, with this, it's very meticulous, right? Like you have to be very meticulous and like the food you eat, the cleansing, like you have to have the whole regime. Also, nature is very important. Nature is the biggest healer. So if you're, inside a lot, not getting a lot of sun, you know, not using natural healing remedies, then it makes things so much harder, and you don't really get the full benefits. So yeah, so the paleo diet started when I was like 22. I was doing well with that. I mean, it wasn't like fully clear, but then I got like a bad flare up, and then I switched to carnivore. Carnivore was probably the best I ever felt. Carnivore is just, yeah, like it's just meat. You're just eating animal products, and I mean, I was super lean, and I was getting, the only thing that made me get off it was I was getting a lot of cramps. If you're not like able to supplement well with like magnesium, potassium, other things like that, then you start to get cramps. Your muscle starts to get cramps because there's no carbs, and essentially, yeah, I was going to the gym a lot. At that point, I was cramping a lot, and I was like, this is not sustainable, right? So I'd like cramp in the middle of the night, or get like double leg cramps, which is obviously was like the worst. So I was like, this, I can't, it's my energy is crazy. Like my libido and stuff like that went up like crazy, like probably like 50% as soon as I got on it. And I mean, yeah, it was something that I did like a lot, but like I said, the energy component didn't overpower the basically the side effects, which is like the cramps. So essentially, I tried that for a bit and then went back to paleo. I also had a stint with like the fruit diet. I was trying to do that as well, like a few weeks. You're just basically eating fruit. There's people that do that. I guess in the beginning, I was almost like going to vegetarian or vegan. I was testing that, but like my family, I have a Argentinian background, so as everybody knows, Argentinians are very big on their barbecue. So if I were to go, I'd basically just get this owned, and I wouldn't want to miss barbecue anyways, or even just the protein. A big fan of animal products, and I feel like there's more nutrients in that than most foods, so that's why it made me stick to it. But like I said, I've had a lot of history of different diets, seeing what works, what doesn't, removing different things, putting things back in, elimination, like eliminating things, and finding out, essentially what works for me. So yeah, more or less, that was 22. Sorry, I'm just going back to like the timeline. So 22 until probably like 25. Actually, yeah, 25, 26. I was doing paleo, and then I went to carnivore after like 26. But yeah, more or less, um, it was a journey that I'm still on. I mean, I haven't perfected everything, but I mean, there's a lot of, for the most part, my goal is to have everything, my skin, looking as clean as possible. Like right now, I have some flare ups. I'm not sure if you guys can see a little bit. But this is something that I'm perfecting. It's trial and error. Like I said, it's very meticulous. There's some people that have it down, but their lifestyle is around that. I mean, I have other things I want to focus on, not just my skin and my digestion. So I think one key thing is keeping stress down. Another thing as well is being in nature a lot. Things like grounding, vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually a big component to psoriasis. So you need like a bigger addition of vitamin D. It's actually not a vitamin anymore; it's more of a hormone. So you're definitely lacking in vitamin D if you have any kind of skin conditions. So you need a lot of that, and also don't listen to dermatologists. All they don't want to do is say that oh, you need this medication. They don't look at any natural remedies. They don't believe that nutrition is at all linked to it, which it is. It's 100% like your diet and your leaky gut. So just like your digestive system has gaps in it, and essentially it's letting particles of food through. Think of it like a net, and then once it goes through, your body starts to attack it because obviously it's something that's foreign to the body. So what you have to do is basically eliminate those foods, then start to cleanse, so you get everything that's been affected out of that, and then you start to like nourish with good foods, and then basically replenish your gut bacteria, which is another thing as well. Things like probiotics, um, adding that in once everything bad is out, and then nurturing with good things, good bacteria. And one thing as well is no alcohol. No alcohol is one of those things. It's like the most toxic thing you can drink or consume because it just basically goes through all cells. That's one. And two is it kills both good and bad bacteria in your stomach. So that's why, people that drink heavily, they're always puking and they always have like a bad stomach ache, stuff like that, because it's really destroying everything. It's just like an atomic bomb going off in your stomach. So anybody that has any kind of digestive issues or going through it right now, you have to cut that out completely or else you're screwed. Essentially, you're just on a loop of making progress and then going back. So a bit of, I guess a short kind of timeline. I want to be touching more on different areas, but I think more or less just wanted you guys to see that, you know, I've I've been where you are if you are going through psoriasis. Like I said, I had it all over my arms. Right now it's very minimal, but it's something that I'll get away for sure. Right now I'm doing a candida cleanse. Candida is usually a culprit of like things coming back up, flare-ups, and then also parasites. Not like huge tapeworms or anything like that. It's just like small ones. But essentially, this is something that I'm getting locked in and putting time into. Like I said, it's always learning new things, applying it, learning, applying. So it's trial and error. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, like I said, I'll be dedicating myself to helping people with nutrition in general, and obviously this impacts it if you have any kind of skin condition. It is, your nutrition and your diet is the culprit. So if you guys, want to contact me, I'll be on Instagram at Mr. Daniel Arce. Like and subscribe if you like the video. More coming. Thanks for sticking around, and see you next time. Keep killing it.